Hey, this is Wednesday, November 9th, and we continue on there. Charity Shoe Drive goes through one more week until next Wednesday. Make sure you've read the season story. If time goes well, I'm going to try and give you a little intro to it today. There's where you can find a copy of it, or I sent it out on Remind yesterday. We went through and make sure you know those, that when you have to stand up and do it, it'll help you out just a wee bit. And then to the creation of man. For this story, well, first off, what happened to our first race of humans?
They
died during the war. Not only did the humans die during the war, but all the animals died during the war. Everything that was not a Titan pretty much died during the war. Now that Zeus is the new leader of the gods, he decides he wants to have not only a new race of humans created, but all of the animals created too. So he goes back to the inventor of, well, creator of the first race of humans. And who is that creator? Prometheus. So he goes back to Prometheus. He's like, hey, we need a whole new race of people and animals and all of that created. And I know you made the first race back with Kronos. Can you help me out? Prometheus goes, I could, but there's a problem. Zeus goes, what's the problem? He goes, well, you're also having me set up your government right now, and I can't really do two things at once. So you're going to have to pick which one do you want me to do. Help set up your government and have sort of everything sorted after the war, or you'll be working on creating humans and animals. I can only do one of them. Pick which one. Zeus goes, government's probably more important. All right, so fine. I'll find someone else to do it. So Zeus instead finds a backup person to use. And he figures, if I can't get Prometheus, I'll get the next best option. And that is? Epimetheus. So he goes and finds Epimetheus. He's like, hey, Epimetheus, your brother made the first race of humans. Would you do me a favor and help me create the second race? And Epimetheus is like, I can do it, boss. Not a problem at all. And he goes, well, actually, not only are you going to create the second race of humans, you're going to need to create all these animals, too. I need you to recreate everything. Are you up for it? Epimetheus is like, yeah, I think I can do it. He's like, good. He's like, well, how do I go about doing it? Zeus goes, well, I've got some special magic people-making Play-Doh. And so he gives him this special people-making Play-Doh. He goes, you're going to use this to not only make people, but all the animals. You squish out the shape that you want, and then you sprinkle some magic dust on it. It'll come to life. I'm a real giraffe. And runs around, and that's how you're going to create everything. He goes, oh, all right. He goes, well, do I just make the shape? Do I get to give him these special abilities or powers? Zeus goes, you do. And he busts out this giant tackle box. But in the giant tackle box, instead of lures and whatever that is, there's going to be one of them has eyes that see in the dark, and then claws, and then fur, and then big sharp teeth. He's like, you're going to pull out these little bits, add them to the animals, and then when you bring them to life, that becomes a part of that animal. That means oh, that's so cool. Zeus goes, now, the problem is, I need humans made really well. That's the most important thing you're going to do. Do not screw up the making of humans. Epimetheus is like, okay, boss, I won't mess up humans. And so Epimetheus does this thing called trying to be responsible. It's a thing many of you are going to try someday. And probably fail just as much as he did. So he goes, all right, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make all the animals first. I'm going to practice on the less important things. And then when it comes time for the important thing, I'll know what I'm doing. He's like, all right, let's go out there and get to animal making. And so he goes out and grabs his first little thing of Play-Doh, grabs some green Play-Doh. And he's like, Rody. He's like, I made a string. He's like, ooh, we're going to put some teeth on that string and then smear some scales on there, throw it down to earth, and call that a snake. And he makes the first snake. He's like, oh, I like that. He's like, ooh, let's do it again. So this time he takes a big old ball of gray Play-Doh. He's like, big old ball of gray Play-Doh. Let's put some gray tree trunks on the bottom of it. Ooh, we'll make two more snakes and put a snake on the front and a snake on the back. And then we're going to let's grab the ears and turn them into wings. And then, we're going to put big old teeth in the front of it. And he throws that down to earth and it flies down. Whee! And we call that a elephant. And he goes on from there. And it grabs on the thing of yellow, and he's like, yellow chunk. And he's like, ooh, we'll make it long tree legs, long tree head, and smear some brown on there. Throw that down and call it a giraffe. And it goes from there. So he's having a good time and giggling and laughing and grabbing and scooping and smashing and adding teeth and fur and claws and eyeballs and seeing in the dark. And he's like, yes, that's great. And it starts getting down to the last little bits of things that are in the boxes. Pulls out one more little brown chunk. He's like, a little brown chunk. He's like, ooh, what should we do on here? It's like, ooh, look at that. Some duck feet. Let's put 4 duck feet on there. Ooh, look at that. There's like a flat tail. We'll put a flat tail in the front and a flat tail in the back. Looks kind of like a beak. That works for me. And called platypus. He's like, we're going to hide that in Australia. And then puts that down there. He's like, yay! He's like, done. I nailed it. Then realizes he forgot to do something. What did he forget to do? Forgot to make the humans. He's like, oh, sugar snaps. He's like, ah. So he reaches over, grabs some more plates, like squishes out a little purse, and he's like, all right. So I got my purse in there. He's like, I should probably put some fur on there because it's going to get cold at times. So he goes over to the little fur area. He's like, oh, the fur thing's empty. Ooh, there's a piece of fur on the ground. We'll just sort of smash that on top. It only covers the top of the head. It's good enough. Let's give it some eyes that can see in the dark. Yeah, nope, nothing but leftover eyes, but those are good too. He's like, ooh, big sharp teeth. Yeah, no sharp teeth. Ooh, look at that little neat teeth nubbins. Those are good enough too. And he starts putting all these little leftover parts into the person, and then brings the human to life. And he's like, I'm a defective boy, and comes to life. And that's how humans get created. The reason that we aren't covered in fur like the animals, we got leftover scrap of fur that got put on the top. The reason that we don't have good claws to go out and hunt things, we got leftover claw bits. Same thing with our eyes and teeth, because we were made with all the leftover parts by the god of idiots. So now, humans and animals exist. Now that humans exist, Zeus decides it's time to teach humans how to sacrifice. Because sacrificing was super important to the gods. It was their way of figuring out who the most popular ones were. It was their early version of Twitter, if you were. And the more followers you had, the more you could brag to your friends. So Zeus goes down and finds this first village of humans down there. He's like, hey, humans, I'm Zeus. And they're like, oh, hi, Zeus. He's like, I'm going to teach you how to sacrifice. Humans go, why are we going to sacrifice? He goes, well, two parts of it. One, if you don't sacrifice the gods, I'm going to kill you. And they go, well, that's a pretty good reason. And he goes, here's the other one. Whenever you sacrifice the gods and ask us for stuff, we will do things for you. Like, oh, that's a pretty good deal. He's like, yeah. So if you're wanting to, have your crops grow, you can pray to my sister. If you want to have your fireplace work and your house be warm, you pray to my other sister. And they're like, okay. They go, well, how do we do this sacrificing thing? He goes, let me show you. And he reaches over and grabs a cow. Murr, murr, murr. Then squeezes the little cow, sets it down in front of the humans. He goes, anytime that you are going to be sacrificed, you kill an animal, you're going to have to sacrifice it to the gods. Now, the way you do that is you're going to turn this cow into two piles. One pile goes up to the gods, one pile you keep for yourself. Humans go, well, which pile do we keep and which pile do you get? Zeus goes, that's up to you. You figure out how you want to split this cow into different parts. I'll come back and decide who gets which pile. So you make the piles, I pick the piles. Humans like, all right, sounds like a good deal. So the humans start separating the cow into its different cow parts. Well, the first thing is what's on the outside of the cow? Fur. Cow fur. So they grab the outside of the cow fur, and throw it off to the side. The cow's like, brr, and they throw the cow fur over to the side. After the cow fur, what comes next?
The horn?
The cow meat. And they rip off all the cow meat, and they throw it over to the pile. Like, oh, it looks like steak already. Now, between, the meat and the last part, there's one thing that connects the meat to the bones, and that is? Yes, the fat and gristle and stuff like that. And the last part is?
Blood.
The big hard parts?
Oh, the organs.
Yes, his organs are hard. Bones, which are like organs but shaped differently. And so the reason I made the other stuff rainbowy is, if you are unaware, fat has natural oils in it. Have you ever been driving on the road and you've seen oil on the road? Whenever the sunlight hits it, it makes a little rainbow. Same thing, fat in meat. If you ever, those of you who have received meat before it gets cooked and turned into a chicken nugget, when it has the fat still on it, it has this little white stuff. When the sunlight hits it, it's like rainbow meat. It's like, oh, rainbow meat. And it's all kinds of delicious and yummy. Same thing is inside people also. Me, when I go slappy and it goes ripple, ripple, ripple across, that's, on the inside there's the rainbow. On the outside there's just the ripply bits. But on the inside, where the fat is, it's just all rainbow. So the humans got all excited with their four parts. Like, ooh, we got cow fur, we got steak, we have rainbow goo, and we have wacky sticks. The problem is, humans, made by Epimetheus, not real smart. So of those 4 piles, they get excited because there's 2 piles they want to keep. Well, which piles should they keep?
Food and fur.
Yeah, well, it's going to keep you warm and fashionable to show off to your friends, and then yummy, delicious steak. But they're not real smart. They see the big pile of rainbow goo. They're like, oh, rainbow goo. They're like, yeah, that'd be great. They're like, wait, wacky sticks. Whack. Like, obviously, we want to keep the rainbow goo and the wacky sticks because those are awesome. Prometheus, not even around them at the time, his idiot alarm goes off. He's like, all of a sudden, idiots. It's not my brother this time. He realizes the humans are getting themselves in trouble. So Prometheus sneaks over to where the humans are. Comes in there's like, hey, what you guys doing? They're like, we're separating this cow into different parts. We're hitting each other in the head with these bones and throwing big old piles of rainbow goo at each other. He's like, oh, who made you? Never mind. He goes, here's the problem. You want to make sure that when Zeus picks these piles, that Zeus picks the bones and rainbow goo. The humans go, why? That's our favorite part. He goes, because it's useless. You can eat this, it's delicious, and that'll keep you warm. Humans go, all right, well, that's a good point. He goes, but Zeus is what we like to call a jerk. If he knows that that's what you want, he's going to keep it. So you have to make him think that you want that part right there. Humans go, well, how do we do that? He goes, what you're going to do is this thing called tricking him. Humans go, we're not smart enough for that. He goes, yeah, I know. So here's what you do. You're going to take the fur, the cow fur, and you turn it inside out, and you put all the meat on top of it. The humans go, that's disgusting. It looks like a cow stepped on a landmine. He goes, exactly. And then you take the other pile of all the bones, and you make a little pyramid out of it, and then you drivel all the fat stuff on it, and then I go, oh, rainbow sticks! And the humans get all excited. So now, Prometheus helps them create these 2 piles. The pile of rainbow sticks, and then the pile that looks like a cow that ate a hand grenade. He goes, now, when Zeus comes back, he's going to go for the pretty one and make you take this one, which is the one you want. The humans go, all right, that sounds like a good deal. Prometheus goes, do not let him know I was here because he tends to get a little bit grumpy. And the humans go, not a problem. And Prometheus sneaks away. Sneaky, sneaky, sneaky. Zeus comes in sometime later. He's like, hey, are you guys ready? The humans like, yep, we've got our 2 piles. So Zeus goes, all right. Well, the 2 piles like, ooh, what's that? Looks like a cow got hit by a train. They're like, oh, no. He goes, that's disgusting, like you guys. They go, oh, that hurts. He goes, ooh, are those rainbow sticks? The humans go, they are rainbow sticks. So he goes, well, the gods are beautiful creatures. Because we're beautiful creatures, anytime you sacrifice to us, you have to give us the beautiful stuff. We get the rainbow sticks. You guys are kind of disgusting, awful little creatures, so you guys are going to get the other pile. The humans go, I think that was insulting. He goes, no, it was insulting. He goes, so now anytime you sacrifice, that goes to us, this is what we get. And he goes, take your pile and get out of here. And he was like, okay. And they grab their pile of hamburgers and steaks and leather jackets. They go running off like, I'm going to ride a motorcycle. And they go running off down the hill. Zeus goes to pick up his rainbow sticks, and as soon as he does, it all falls apart in his hands. He's like, rainbow stick, what? It's like, blah, blah, like slides on him. He's like, it's so disgusting. And realizes he got tricked. And only one person is smart enough to trick him. And that is
Prometheus.
And Zeus declares, he's like, Prometheus, you're a good guy, but tricking me is the wrong choice. That's one. The next time you do it, I'm going to torture you for the rest of your life. Prometheus is like, whatever. And tell our story next week. So now, humans have sacrifices. With sacrifices, I just want you to know that they don't sacrifice humans. Sacrificing people is bad. They only sacrifice animals. So don't get excited like, I'm going to go kill someone and sacrifice. No, that'd be bad. What they want you to work on is you sacrifice food, and you offer that up to the gods. So here's how it would work. You would find some pile of food that you're going to sacrifice to the gods. Let's say that I'm getting ready to run a race tomorrow, and I want to do well in this race. Who am I going to sacrifice to make sure I run fast?
Hermes.
So to make sure I run well, I'm going to take my little bowl of honeycomb, and I shake my little bowl of honeycomb, and I go, Hermes, please make me run quickly in my race. And I take my bowl of honeycomb, and I go sit it outside my back door on the ground. I then shut the door and go to bed. If the next morning when I wake up and check that bowl, if it's empty, that means that the gods have heard me and that my wish will be granted. If the food is still there, it means the gods have ignored me, and I am out of luck. Much like the kids who are out of luck with their points because they started packing up while I was still teaching. Mr. Broviak, you're so smooth when you attack. Thank you, I appreciate it. And so sometimes when they come out the next day, they would then check it, and the food bowl would be empty. Mr. Broviak, that's impossible because the gods didn't exist. It wasn't impossible. Sometimes the food bowl was empty. How would the food disappear if the gods don't actually exist? Animals would come up and eat it. Now, if you were to peek out your back door, and you're like, well, I'm going to watch and find out what happens. And you peek out there and you see a little raccoon come running up there and start eating your honeycomb. And you run out there like, bad raccoon! When you go to kick it, that'd be a bad idea. Why would it be a bad idea?
The raccoon could attack you.
The raccoon could, no, not because the raccoon could attack you. Yeah, not that it represents a god, but you're close.
The god sent the raccoon.
Gods can shapeshift. So if Hermes is going to grant your wish, he's not going to come up to your back door wearing a toga and sit out there like, and just sit there and eat from the bowl. That'd be awkward. He's going to take the form of some creature that looks normal. So Hermes is going to take the form of a raccoon and come up there and eat it. So if you peek out your back door and you see the raccoon, you're like, oh no, it's Hermes in the form of a raccoon. He's so adorable. As opposed to going out there and like, oh, that hurt my foot. Why are you oh, that's not good. And so you realize that would not work out well. So that was why your food would disappear, because the gods were granting your wish. Now the problem is, every time you sacrifice to the gods, you are voting for that god as your favorite. This freaked out Zeus a little bit, because Zeus does not want any other god to be more popular than him. But not a lot of people would vote to Zeus, or sacrifice to Zeus, because there's not a whole lot he could do for people. So Zeus creates a loophole in the whole system. So when he sets up sacrificing with humans, he goes, all right, whenever you sacrifice to a god for whatever you want, you sacrifice to that god, and then you also do a small sacrifice to the king of the gods, whoever that person might be. So you go, whoever you want, and king of the gods. So if you want Joey Jojo to fall in love with you, you would sacrifice to Aphrodite. And then a small one to Zeus. If you're going to go swimming and you don't want to drown, you sacrifice to and then a small one to Zeus. And so that way, Zeus manages to make sure he gets most of the votes. He manipulates the system. For them, sacrifices equal popularity. The more sacrifices you got, the more popular you were. The more popular you were, the more powerful you were on Mount Olympus. So because of that, who is the most popular god? Zeus. Because he manipulates the system, Zeus guarantees he is the most popular god. The second most popular god? Actually, it rotated from time to time. Hera was popular, but usually just one time part of the year. What time of the year would she be popular? June. Now, around February, in Valentine's Day, what god became popular?
Aphrodite.
And so when it became fall and time to harvest crops, it would become?
Demeter.
And so if we were getting ready to head off to war, it would become?
Aries.
And so it would rotate. Or depending on what kind of fight you want to have. It would rotate from god to god, depending on who or what was going on at that time. And so that's how we do sacrifices with the gods. Now that we have humans, I'm going to give you a little intro with Hades. Hades is lonely. The problem is he's not good at talking to women. And whenever Hades goes out and tries to talk to a girl, he's like, hey, how you meet? And so the women just weren't digging him much. So he decides that if you're not good at talking to women, there's a good backup option, which is you just steal yourself a woman. He's like, oh, why not? It works. So he decides he's going to steal himself a woman. But there's a problem. There's no women in his kingdom for him to steal. So he has to go to his brother's kingdom to go get himself a woman. And what brother does he have to go to? Zeus. So he goes and talks to Zeus. He's like, hey, Zeus, I'd kind of like to get a girlfriend. Zeus is like, oh, I'm so proud of you. And he's like, thank you, bro. And he's like, well, who do you want? And he's like, and there we'll stop. And the rest of the story is in the one that you got. Tomorrow we'll talk about the rest of Hades and his poor choices and go on.